for joining us at this hour on African Free Press Television for stories in the news this week. I am Momo Bassi. Former Congolese rebel leader Bosco Ntaganda on Wednesday pleaded not guilty to all charges at the start of his war crime trials at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. The 18 charges include murder, rape, and recruitment of child soldiers. Evidence has been gathered from more than 2,000 alleged victims, including former child soldiers. Nicknamed the Terminator, General Ntaganda's trial is the biggest and most complex case in the ICC's history. The 41-year-old is accused of killing at least 800 civilians during the separate attacks on the number of villages between 2002 and 2003. He is also accused of raping girl soldiers and keeping them as sex slaves. In 2013, General Ntaganda handed himself in at the U.S. Embassy in the Rwandan capital, Kigali, having avoided capture for 7 years after the ICC first issued warrants for his arrest. Bosco Ntaganda was part of the UCP rebel group led by Thomas Lubanga, who in 2014 became the first person to be convicted by the ICC. The main railway station in the Hungarian capital, Budapest, on Thursday opened its doors to hundreds of migrants after a 2-day standoff. But a public announcement said international trains to Western Europe were suspended indefinitely. The migrants stuck at Budapest Keleti station were prevented from boarding trains on Tuesday and Wednesday. Some were involved in scuffles with police. They had bought tickets after Hungary briefly appeared to abandon efforts to register migrants, allowing huge numbers to board trains to Vienna and southern Germany. The number of migrants entering Europe has reached a record level, with 107,500 arriving in July alone. On Thursday, military and police sources reported that 30 people were killed in northern Cameroon in 2 successive suicide attacks. The first bombing took place shortly before noon in the marketplace of Kerewa, a city on the border with Nigeria, following a second attack about 20 meters from a military camp. On Tuesday, the Nigerian presidency and ruling All Progressive Congress came under fire for saying that President Muhammadu Buhari never promised Nigerians that he will achieve specific things within his first 100 days in office. Nigerians had expressed disappointment at the party and the presidency's excuses. The protest on Twitter, which had the title 100 Days Promise, was directed at the APC and the presidency for being dishonest with Nigerians during the campaigns. National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Mr. Lai Mohammed, during an interview on Channels TV on Monday, had said that Buhari never promised to do anything within his first 100 days in office. On Wednesday, at least 4 people had lost their lives in renewed clashes in Burundi, where tensions remain high following the President Pierre Nkurunziza's controversial re-election. Police and witnesses said clashes erupted overnight in several parts of the Central African nation's capital, Bujumbura, with the night marked with sporadic gunfire and explosions. Police blamed armed insurgents for the violence. Thursday night, Guatemala's former president has spent his first night in prison after a judge ordered his detention while hearing over alleged corruption take place. Otto Perez Molina, 64, left the courts in Guatemala City on Thursday under heavy police guard and was taken to a military prison in the capital. On Tuesday, Congress stripped him of his immunity from persecution, which opened the way for criminal charges to be brought against him. The vice president was sworn in as interim head of state ahead of elections this Sunday after Mr. Perez Molina resigned on Thursday. Alejandro Maldonado is expected to govern until the new president is sworn in on the 14th of January. Mr. Perez Molina's resignation on Thursday and arrest are a huge victory for an unprecedented anti-corruption and protest movement that had swelled in recent months with regular marches in Guatemala's major cities. Today, Moroccans are headed to the polls in the country's first local election since 2011. Voters' turnout is expected to test the ruling Islamic government's popularity and highlight issues like corruption and unemployment. Around 15 million Moroccans are set to vote on Friday in the first local and regional elections to take place since King Mohammed VI conceded some of his powers and brought forth a new constitution in 2011 in order to quell protests. The acceptance of the Prime Minister Abdullahi Benkiran's Islamic Justice and Development Party, PJD, will be put to test after achieving limited progress in fighting corruption. In Wednesday's issues of the Maputo Daily Noticias, a building company has stumbled across a cache of weaponry in the Mavunda administrative post in the central Mozambican province of Manica, according to a report. The weaponry include bazooka shells and an unspecified amount of other material were presumably buried during the War of Destabilization, which ended in 1992. The area where the cache was found was housed the position of the government army of the time. The arms cache was just a few meters from the building where the Secretariat of the Mabonde's administrative post now operates. A building contractor found the weapons when digging foundations for a residence for the state employees living in Mabonde. On Thursday, 3rd September 2015, World Health Organization declared Liberia free of Ebola virus transmission in the human population. 42 days have passed since the second negative test on 22nd July 2015 of the last laboratory-confirmed case. Liberia now enters a 90-day period of heightened surveillance. Liberia's ability to effectively respond to the outbreak of Ebola virus disease is due to intensified vigilance and rapid response by the government and multiple partners. Transmission has been declared over previously on 9 May 2015, but the disease re-emerged on 29 June and 6 additional cases were identified. That's the stories in the news this week. For more news updates, you can visit our website at www.africanfreepress.com. Also follow us on Twitter at African Free Press. Don't forget to like African Free Press on Facebook. I am Momo Basi. Enjoy your weekend.